Welcome to this episode of the Awakening Women podcast. I'm doing something a little different with this one. I think this is a little extra bonus episode. I don't know about you, but my inbox is flooded, inundated with so many Cyber this and Black Friday, everything, everywhere. And I know your inbox is probably the same. So I was thinking, I'm not going to send an email about all of this that I'm going to talk about. I'd rather just connect with you here on the podcast, maybe give you a few tips for the season and some things that I'm looking at and thinking about and implementing for this upcoming holiday season. And maybe some things will help you here around you're facing some challenges, you're facing some questions, maybe some big decisions in the new year around your family life and your relationship. And I know for the women that I'm working with in my current groups in my program is that they're facing, maybe this is the last holiday together as a family, married, those types of things. And those are really hard things to face. They're really hard things to move through. It's like you're grieving something before it actually comes. And some of you may be dealing with the first holiday where you won't have your children with you. Maybe that's the first time ever you've not been with your children during the holiday. And that's really, really hard. So I just wanted to recognize that for those of you that are facing that. And then there's other additions in that. Maybe you're caring for aging parents, or you have a strained relationship with family. Maybe there's family drama. Maybe you don't have a good relationship with your parents and your family, so you're kind of dreading it, and it's a very triggering time of year when you're having to be in the same rooms and get together and all of that. So I fully get that. And so with all of life's changes and challenges, what do we do during this upcoming season of joy that, you see the Hallmark Christmas movies, you see these Christmas commercials that look like storybook setting Christmases and things on Instagram maybe. But what if you're just having a hard time getting into the cheer of it? Because really, I have a hard time with consumerism, and Christmas I've always loved. When I think back to my childhoods, like some of the most magical times were Christmases at my grandparents' house as a little girl, because my grandma always just did everything, like decked the halls, like went all out. Everything was always just Christmased out by the end of November. She loved Christmas. And I kind of took the baton on that one when she left and was passed. So for the past 27 years, basically, maybe 26. My son was born 27 years ago, Christmas Eve, in 97. So I started being the one that was hosting and doing dinners. I don't remember exactly when it started, but it's been a long time. I've been a mom for 27 years. And so I just think like I loved all of that, and I did it for my kids so that they had memories also of family gatherings and dinners. But I always took it on. I always did all of those things. And so with things changing, you go through a divorce, things change, the family dynamic changes. My girls live with me full time. My mother passed away suddenly at the end of October, which was very unexpected. I mean, a lot of times it is, but it really truly was unexpected. It was very sudden, very shocking how it happened. And, and so this will be the first Christmas my kids have ever known that she's not there. And so that's feeling a bit, unsettling on top of that. And really, it's just been a year. It's just been a tough year on so many fronts. So I don't know about you, but maybe you're feeling that just this exhaustion, and you want, I don't know about you, but I'm also feeling this urge to just want to simplify. I want things simple. Like, I love the magic of Christmas. I love the twinkle lights. I love the decorations. I love getting everybody together, having good food, making memories, and having my family all around me. That's what I love about it. And, a lot of the focus becomes about the material items and what you're going to buy and all that stuff. But it's not really what you're going to remember. You're going to remember that, like family gathered around and laughing and being together. And that was the other thing, is my adult son, he moved away. So he's coming home, I think, but things just change, and we've all been just feeling this, like, things are not the same this year. And I've said to my daughter, I'm like, no, it's not. It isn't. I feel you, and I agree with you. And life doesn't stay the same. It changes. And I know you might be thinking about this when you're facing a potential divorce and your family changing. We have to just look at where we're clinging and grasping and attached to things being a certain way, even if they're not working in the way that they are right now anymore. And being open to letting things be different, because if you're not open to it, life will come around and rearrange it for you, because you can't control when people die, when people move, when people, when they're not around as much anymore because they leave cities, or you have distance with friends that you maybe were a big part of your life, or health stuff, right? Health stuff that you may have to be dealing with. Mental health stuff, maybe you're struggling in that way. And so I think really it's about embracing that life has changed, because nothing stays the same. Life is impermanent. Nothing ever lasts forever. And when we can accept that and realize that even a relationship that we may be clinging for dear life to, that it's run its course, and that doesn't mean it's a failure that it ends, because you can still, maybe not right away, but on your healing journey, you can glean the benefits that the relationship gave you. Because I know I hear a lot of women, they're like, oh, I got nothing. He's just like, some women are just so bitter. You can tell that they hang on to what has happened forever. And I refuse to do that. That will age you. That will give you wrinkles in your forehead, and you will just look haggard if you hang on to the anger and what they did and what they should have done and what they didn't do. It does not fucking help you. It will not help you. It will make you sick and run you into the ground. You will be miserable, and nobody will want to be around you, as they get sick of hearing about it too. You get sick of probably thinking about it, but people get sick of hearing about the same thing over and over. So I got to a point where I realized, like, I'm not complaining about it anymore. I'm not complaining. I'm not talking about it. I'm not thinking about it. It's just a way to just let it go, like to just release it and know what it's like to just let go. It's a beautiful thing. And I really mean let go. That doesn't mean you condone things that have happened, but it means that you let go for yourself because you want peace. And so, like I said, this is a bit of a different tangent I'm going off of, because it came from the idea of, I'm not going to send a Black Friday email. But I still have some messages here for you in this whole season of, it can be quite overwhelming. There's a lot of mixed emotions. Some of you might be dreading it. Some of you are feeling like it's not the same because there's been family changes. I get it. But you can make new intentions. You can make new traditions. And even with this Black Friday, all of the Cyber Week, Black Friday week, or whatever it is, you can have the intention. So you can say, well, I am going to do my Christmas shopping, but I'm going to do it online. Like, for me, that's like the best of both worlds. If I can get my Christmas shopping done online, I will do like 95% of it like that, because I refuse to go fighting for lineups in the mall and being in crowds, and just, I cannot do that anymore. That just takes any of the joy out of it for me completely. So I do a lot of my stuff online, and so I am taking advantage of some of the deals, if they're actually a deal, and do some of that now. So that's one thing you can do is take advantage of it, but save yourself the hassle of being out there in the crowds and the overwhelm. And then you end up buying less too, because it's like when you go to Costco for a couple things and then you walk out with $500 worth of things. So if you're specifically looking for certain items online, you're likely going to avoid overspending on too many things. So a few tips for you is, remember to just see consumerism for what it is, and the marketing is what it is. Everybody's doing it right now. So I didn't want to be another thing in the inbox. It's like Black Friday. I don't have any Black Friday deals. I have no Black Friday sales. I have nothing. I do have a few things coming up for you. I'm going to let you know about here in a moment. But I wanted to just give you a few tips if you're feeling this overwhelm and we're about to embark into December and the new year, is to just notice like what's coming up for you around that. Like with this whole thing, what are you feeling and what's true for you? And just be mindful, be in your body. And then number 2 is keep it simple for this whole season coming up. That's my intent. I want to keep it simple and I want to be peaceful. This is the first Christmas Eve that I am not doing a Christmas Eve dinner. I've always done Christmas Eve dinner because my son is a Christmas Eve baby. And so we would always just do his birthday and Christmas Eve, and I do the whole family and all of that. And we're still going to do that. We're going to have a bit of a hard time because the girl's grandma won't be here. So I think that's always going to be a difficult thing in a family when someone has passed on. But we're going to do it anyways, except I'm not doing a big dinner. We're going to do like a charcuterie night because we love doing that. And so that sounds fun to me and feels light and doable, not so overwhelming. If you've made 30 turkey dinners in your lifetime or more, how much work goes into those? I mean, you're in the kitchen all day to sit down. Everybody will sit down in 10 minutes and then you're cleaning up for another 4 hours, right? And then you sit down, you're like, okay, I'm ready for bed. I've done that and I don't want to really do that anymore, at least not for this year. So I invite you to look at how can you simplify? Can you change your holiday traditions? Do you have to force yourself to keep doing the same things, even if you don't want to do them? No, you don't. And I'm giving myself permission in that regard to keep it simple. For me last year, the stress of so many things going on, and don't need to go into it, but lots of huge stressors coming from every which way. And then I got really sick right after Christmas. Like this autoimmune condition just came on like a storm, like really fast. And I know it was because my body was compromised. It was just way too much for too long. So this year, because I'm feeling stabilized, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling like I'm moving in a good direction with it, I don't want to go back to what I was doing and push myself into another episode, So I'm looking at what I can do to keep it simple. And I invite you to look at that as well. This is really too about conserving your energy. Like look at where you're leaking it everywhere and spending it on things you don't even want to be doing. What are you resenting? What are you dreading? Like, what are you just like, I don't want to do that again. Like, right? I'm so done with doing things like that. That doesn't mean you don't do things that are uncomfortable, of course, but if it's traditions and things that you're like, I'm doing it just because I always have, but I hate it, why are you doing it, right? Just look at what's not working in your life right now. And this goes back to what you hear me say all the time. You keep doing the same things over and over and wonder why nothing changes. Because we get so caught in our patterns, and this can be a way to interrupt that pattern and do something different this year. And tip 3 is don't fall for the hype for the sales because there usually aren't that great of a deal anyways. I noticed that when I was doing some looking for my daughters. I'm like, this is not a deal. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with everything that's going on, just be aware of everybody's marketing. Everybody's marketing at the same time and they're all shouting for the attention. I have nothing to say negative about that because I am in the business of marketing. If I don't market what I do, I won't be doing what I'm doing for very long. If I'm not selling what I do, there would be no podcast, there will be no programs, there will be nothing. So I'm not saying marketing is a negative thing. It is not. It is a necessary part of every single business, but it's just that everybody's doing it at the same time for a long period, for this week or whatever it is. And you might end up just unsubscribing for a little while. Like there's a few companies that I really like that I'm like, I plan to buy this or that at some point. but I've just unsubscribed just because I've gotten like 5 emails a day from some of them. It's not that I'll never buy from them or that I don't like them as a company, because there's a few things I'm like, I want to get that in the new year. That's on my wish list. But when I look at my inbox and I got 20 new emails since I last checked, it's like, this overwhelm. And they're all like Black Friday this and Black Friday that. So number 4 and the final tip is really, and this sounds so simplistic, but I think we take it for granted actually, what it is that we actually have to be grateful for, even if things are not going well, even if you're dealing with grief and loss and family changes and health issues and whatever it is that you're dealing with, because we all have it. We all have these things that we're dealing with. And it's more about, how do you thrive in it? How do you find the moments of joy in the mess? How do you find moments of peace when there's maybe chaos going on all around you? Can you be the peace? Yes, you can. You can. You don't have to get whipped around by what's going on externally. There's a lot you can do to stay in your power with that and just stay in a state of gratitude and peace despite what's going on around you. All right. So here are some things that are coming up so that you're aware. I right now am taking enrollments into the January 30-day cohort of End the Cycle. I've decided to close it down for the month of December because it's a busy month, right? It's a busy month. So I'm not running any cohorts, but I am taking spots. So you can reserve your spot by registering, making your payment, and then we begin in January. And there will be limited spots because I am running it right now as smaller cohorts. I'm not sure what I'll do moving forward. I have some other plans for what I want to do with it in the new year. But for right now, that's the plan, is there will be another 30-day cohort starting in January, and we're going to be getting on weekly group Zoom calls live every single week for the 4 weeks. And this is End the Cycle 1.0. So I have taken the program and broken it into 1.0, 2.0 because I have so much content. And the 30-day program is the OG. That's where it started off. That was the thing that got women rapid results. And then they would get to the end of it and be like, well, what's next? I want more. I feel like I still want more support, or now I'm dealing with this issue. So I kept expanding this thing, and it became this huge thing that I've run at times for 6 months even, which was too long. And I've played around with different time frames. That's what you do. You test it out and you play around. So maybe you've seen this and you're like, Jesus, what's she offering now with this? It's too many things. But it's all just a test to figure out what I like, how I feel best serving, what seems to be the sweet spot for women. And so I just play around with it. And where I've found the sweet spot is the 30-day immersion. And then you have the option to continue on into 2.0 if you want to. Or you take a lot of times women finish the 30-day and get everything they need out of it. And they don't need anything further from there. That's ideal, right? Of course, I want you to hang around. But if you don't need it, that means I've done my job. But some women want the extra time and they want to keep deepening in and go to the next level in their healing and awakening and all that, and get support on the other side as they dismantle their lives and go through the separations and go through the co-parenting and all of that. And so that's where the 2.0 comes in. So more will be to come on that. But for the January cohort, that is the 30-day, 4-week immersion. Okay. So you can head to the link in the show notes to save your spot. When the spots are gone, the spots are gone. So make sure that you save that seat if you want to join us in January. Number 2 is that I have a new bundle to help you now if you need some help right now getting some clarity. It's called the No More Toxic Cycles class bundle. These are classes that I pulled from my End the Cycle vault. These are classes I've taught to my End the Cycle ladies. And they are specifically about no longer questioning yourself if you are experiencing abuse, because the way that I teach this will remove all doubt from your mind about what is actually going on in your relationship. It's very clear, very concise, and the way I've taught it is designed to completely transform the way you're seeing your whole situation. And so I talk in there about the cycle, but I go very much into covert abuse because that's a whole different ballgame. And if you are experiencing stuff in your relationship that you can't quite put your finger on, you don't know why you feel so crazy and jumbled up, why everything feels so confusing, that's a sign you're experiencing some pretty deep manipulation and covert tactics. They're hard to spot, and nobody around you can necessarily see it because they're so good at putting that polished persona on for the outside world. So that's where women will be like, everyone thinks he's such an awesome guy. Like the moms are all like, oh, you're so lucky, so wonderful. And you're thinking, what? Like, they don't obviously see what really is going on, do they? Or is it me? A lot of women, that's when they're like, is it me? It must be me because he doesn't treat anybody else like this, right? So those are some signs that you're experiencing some pretty covert stuff. It's hidden, but the impacts are detrimental to your mental health and your physical health. So if you want to learn more about that to get the clarity, then the No More Toxic Cycles class bundle is where you want to start, and you will no longer have any doubts about what you're experiencing. And once you get more awareness and clarity, then that makes your next steps a whole lot easier. And then you can join us in January if you'd like to keep going. And the third is that I'm taking applications for my 8-week one-on-one program that will also start in January. And so if you'd like to book a call with me to see if that might be a fit for you, then click the link in the show notes here to book that call. And then I'm reserving spots for those that are a fit to begin in January. And the final thing I wanted to let you know is I'm doing something a little different in December. My plan is to do 2 podcasts a week. So there will be a Tuesday newer episode like I do, a shorter episode. But then the Thursday episodes for January are going to be extended episodes. So what I'm doing is pulling previously recorded podcasts from the vault. And I am combining 1, 2, or 3, depending on a particular topic, and combining them all into one episode. So, for instance, like one on, say it's about gaslighting, then I'm going to pull 2 or 3 of my episodes I've done on that with the most downloads usually, and put them all into one episode with a new, pre-show and after-show commentary kind of thing. And that is what I'm going to do for December to bring back some of my older content that has been popular, and it's more centered around the abuse cycles and tactics and that kind of thing. So if that's something that interests you, make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast if you're not already, and you won't miss anything from that point on. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this episode, and it's a little bit different. Like I said, it's not pertaining to the exact subject at hand. It's more speaking to you as a woman, that I recognize that there's probably a lot of you out there that are feeling quite like pulled in a lot of directions, and you're keeping a household running and a family and a marriage, and you work busy careers. As most of the women, these are the women that I work with, is they are burning the candle at both ends and they're frazzled, right? And you need to put some focus in. You need to conserve your energy for the things that you actually need to conserve it for, right? And so this is really what this is an opportunity to do, is looking at, we're moving into what's known as a busy season, and how do you want to do it? How do you want it to look? And it might be the first year you've said, how do I want it to look? And yes, maybe other people aren't going to like my new ideas. It's too bad, unless they're going to do something different and they're going to run the show and make it all happen. Like no one else is raising their hand to say, hey, no, I'm going to do a big Christmas Eve shindig. No, it's nobody's doing that. And so that's not an easy thing either to do when you're someone that wants to have the big festive kind of things. But I think for me, I'm done with making the Christmas turkey dinners. You know what I'm saying? It's like my whole day is gone and I don't even get to enjoy the day. I don't even get to hang out. So I think the new Christmas Eve tradition is going to be charcuterie night, and everybody can bring something to contribute. So maybe that inspires you to do something a little different as well this year. So I hope you found something valuable in this, and I will chat with you in the next episode. Bye for now.